On this episode of She Built Success, I'm talking about just getting it signed. Government contracts, that is. Whether you're an online business and executive coaching, finance services, or professional services, this one's for you. Go ahead, push play, and I'll catch you on the inside. Welcome back, Bold Move Besties, to another episode of She Built Success. I am your host, Claudia. Now, if you're new here to She Built Success, you're a Bold Move Besties. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button on YouTube or your podcast platform of choice. We drop episodes every Wednesday on YouTube and every Friday on your audio podcast platform. All right, let's get on into it. So today, I wanted to talk to you about just starting in government contracting. So you're a small business, maybe coming from the online space or just the small business world in general, and you're looking to get started in government contracting. All the information that you've heard has been complex, overcomplicated, difficult to understand. You don't know up from down or which way or even who to listen to. The whole point of this platform is to help you get acclimated in government contracting, get used to the terminology. We call it GovCon for short, and understand how your small business fits into government contracting. So I have a lot of notes that I want to be able to share with you, some of the key tips that you could take away to get you started in government contracting. Because why not? We got to get a contract signed, right? All right, so number one, it's not as complicated as you think. Despite the number of programs, courses, on-demand options that you see that may or may not seem intuitive, it might be a laundry list of tasks that you have to go figure out, a number of words that you just don't know the definition for, and it's all a do-it-yourself, figure-it-out kind of pace. That's not what we're here for. We're here right now to really get you started. So it's not complicated. I want you to start with a process that's called micro purchasing. Micro purchases are basically the government can come in and use your services and swipe a credit card for it if it's under a $10,000 threshold. Now, if you want to get into the Department of Defense or DoD space, that sometimes come with up to a $25,000 limit. So they can swipe their credit card to pay for your services or product up to $25,000. So typically I talk about micro purchases a lot here, or purchase cards or government purchase cards. All are one and the same, but it's really that first step or opportunity to get your foot in the door with government contracting. Okay, so stay with me. If you are a small business and you identify as an executive coach, a business coach, an operations consultant, professional services specifically in finance, or professional services in other verticals that would roll up to like a consultant type aspect, then this one is for you. So let's keep going. So we talked about a little bit about what purchase cards is. It's that swipeable credit card, $10,000 to $25,000 if you're in DoD, and they're able to pay for your services. Typically, purchase card contracts are a shorter period of time. So I know a lot of times you hear get this multi-million-dollar contract and you'll be good to go. The truth is, multi-million-dollar contracts typically come with the larger companies. So we call that prime in the government space. And the prime contracts, which are multi-million, usually multi-year contracts, have a lot more to it than just swiping a credit card. It actually goes through an entire procurement process, a number of level of vetting and approvals. And as a small business, it's not always the easiest to get into. Now, I've covered and talked about on the podcast different ways that you can get started in government contracting, including working with a prime as a subcontractor. But in this particular case, as an executive coach, a business coach in the finance or professional services space, I want to talk to you about purchase cards and what that looks like to you as a small business owner. Okay, so stay with me. So we talked about the operation support. I'll sometimes say ops. I do abbreviate things a lot, so I'll try to be cognizant of my abbreviations so that you could stay with me here. But I want to talk about SAM.gov. So I've mentioned SAM.gov, I've mentioned FPDS, but I think where you need to start, if you have not already registered, is to go to SAM.gov, that's SAM.gov, and register your business, because that is the first point of entry that the government could potentially find you as a business on their portal, on their platform. And what that allows for you to do is not only register your business, say, yep, I'm ready to provide you services, government, but hey, I'm also here, and these are the type of services that I provide. Now, SAM.gov is set up where you identify your primary NAICS code. A NAICS code is like a 6-digit code that allows the government to say, okay, this business does financial services, or this business does IT consulting. It's a 6-digit code, and NAICS is North American Industry Classification System. It is typically found on your tax return. If you're not sure, you can go to naics.com and do a couple keyword searches to look up your NAICS code, okay? So as long as you register for sam.gov, that's you raising your hand and it's active, that's you raising your hand saying, yep, I'm ready to do business with the government, then we can continue on with the conversation about purchase cards and what that looks like. So sam.gov and FPDS.gov are two resources. I tend to talk a lot about both, but the one that I prefer is FPDS just because it's easier to search around different contracts and what was awarded as contracts in the past. And I have a whole episode on how to do that walks you through two different parts with different other NAICS codes, but how to walk through FPDS. So I'll link those for sure in the below. And if you're listening on audio, if you look up, I don't know, something like FPDS, or just go on shebuiltsuccess.com and you can find the episode there. But back to this. So FPDS is the one that's preferred, at least by me, to look up contracts, especially in the purchase card threshold. And it allows you to see, okay, this is the type of services that an agency is buying, and that's across the federal government. Now, I will say not all purchase cards make it onto that platform, but it gives you a good starting point with what agencies are purchasing or buying and what that threshold looks like. So, for instance, if you're in training and you offer, different type of developmental training, professional development training, or workshop type situations or environments with employees, then you can go on to FPDS and look through the list and say, okay, these are the type of workshops that are being provided. It might not be personal development. They might use something for a retreat, for example. I have seen agencies who put on like executive retreats or team building type retreats, and they're looking for a workshop host or a trainer to come in and work with the people that are coming out for the retreat. So that's just like one example of what a real way that you can get a purchase card contract. The other one is to put together your capability statement. Now, your capability statement is kind of like your resume. It says, hey, these are all the different types of services that we offer. So that's where you put in your primary NAICS code. That's your first one. And then if you have, 2 or 3, I wouldn't go crazy and put all NAICS codes on there, but another 2 or 3 that would be considered like your secondary NAICS codes, that would go on there. But in addition to that, also when you're working different projects or contracts, you're able to put that in. So it's your resume, like putting in those other projects are like past performance. Now, I know you're probably like, well, I don't have any past performance. I haven't worked with the government before. I got you. So if you haven't worked with the government before, but you are trying to put together your capability statement, you can take past performance. So let's say you've done corporate workshops or training for C-level executives. You can put that down, corporation's name, if you're allowed to do that, the industry that you worked in, and what were the outcomes or services that you provided. That allows the government to now look at you, and you're more credible, one, because you have corporate sources behind you that you've worked with. Now, if you do not come from a lens where you can borrow corporate past performance, you still can build out your capability statement, but it's going to look a little bit different. My recommendation would be become a subcontractor. So a subcontractor in the government space is where you are a consultant or your own company and you're working underneath Prime. Now remember, Prime is like the really big company that holds the multi-million-dollar contracts. And what I'm trying to break down here is that you don't have to off the break win a multi-million-dollar contract in order to start doing business with the government and building out your capability statement. You could start as a subcontractor and work with the big prime, and you could still put that on your capability statement as past performance because it's, you worked the contract or someone on your team worked the contract. So that's another avenue that you could go in when you're building out this capability statement. Remember, it's like your company's resume of the type of work that you've done. So twofold. We have, if you've gone the corporate route, you can put that in as past performance on your capability statement. Or if you're a small business, but you have not yet done government contracting and you don't have corporate, then you can go in as like a subcontractor. Now, there's other nuances in that, but for the simplicity of what we're talking about here, I wanted to at least give you some insights into how you can get started in building out your capability statement and making sure you're registered on sam.gov. So let's keep going. The other item that I wanted to cover is, what should your credit card swipeable offer be? Now, I'm going to put a plug in here because why not? There is an accelerator program that I've put together. It's a 12-week accelerator program called Ready Swipe Gov. And we go through from you have no offer all the way through you have a credit card swipeable offer. I say that because it's important to know not only who your government buyer is, that's who's going to be buying what you're selling, but you need a strategy in place to be able to put you in a position that the agency is like raising their hand saying, yep, you're the person that I'm looking for, or yep, you're the agency or the company that we're looking to do business with, or yep, you have the product that we are actually looking to fulfill. You need to make sure that you have that strategy locked and loaded, not only from a marketing stance, but also from a researching stance and knowing the type of wording and messaging that each agency is looking for, because each of them are different. Each of them have their own strategic plans, their own requirements, and their own initiatives. And when you get more granular at that project level, you're now talking about, okay, what are the nuances of said project that I could provide services for? So that 12-week accelerator gets you from I don't have anything where I think I have something to, yep, I'm ready to go. And I'm already reaching out to my government buyers for purchase cards. So there you go. And if you're interested in doing that, I got you on audio. If you go to shebuiltsuccess.com/resources, you can go ahead and sign up and you will be able to get started on the 12-week accelerator as soon as doors open. All right, so let's keep going. So we've talked about sam.gov. We've talked about your capability statement and what that looks like and different components and elements that you can put into it. I want to now, and we've talked about your credit card swipeable offer. So let's say you have all of those, everything's great and hunky-dory, you have all of those covered. So how do you get to the contract signing? This is where I've talked about it before, but building relationships is key. Not only with, you'll hear the term contracting officer or CO or contracting specialist or CS thrown around a lot. And I think a lot of times small businesses think that's exactly who I need to talk to. Actually, it's not. I'm going to tell you need to talk to. You need to find who the program office people are. Like it could be the manager, typically the manager. It could be, I call them worker bees. These are the people that do like the day-to-day ins and outs of the project, but not necessarily at the managerial level. You need to find those individuals. That's who you need to start developing relationships with, having conversations with to understand where gaps are or where you may be able to fit in the project or where it may be up for a recompete. And you can go and work with the prime and do like a subcontract, like I talked about at the top of the podcast. So I want to put you in a position where you are not scared to get a contract signed and you are aware of what's possible in government contracting. Again, it's not about the multi-million dollars. Yes, we all want to get there, right? We want to get you to that multi-million dollar moment. However, to get started, to get your foot in the door, to be able to get that contract signed, I think purchase cards is the way to go. So think about how you can position your services. So like I said, as an online business, it's sometimes hard to translate what I do online or what I do as a small business to government. And I'm here to help for that. So if I can be a resource, hit me up in the DMs. I got you covered. But what I think you should think about and shift your mindset in is what's that one step that I could take to get me into government contracting? And again, to me, that one step is micro purchases or purchase cards. So do you have an offer available that you can swipe a credit card and the government can swipe the credit card for your services or for your product? And if not, go to shebuiltsuccess.com/resources. I got you covered. Finally, you know what I like to do, Bold Move Bestie? I'm going to give you homework. Your homework is to look back at your past performance or your history as a small business and identify 3 key clients that you think could help you transition into government contracting. So what are the 3 key clients and works or products that you did for those 3 key clients that we can add to that capability statement? All right, Bold Move Besties, until next time, I'll catch you on the next episode of She Built Success. Bye. Are you a small business owner, consultant, or service provider ready to break into government contracting, but not quite sure where to start or who you can trust? Let's change that. The Ready Swipe Gov Accelerator is our 12-week group coaching program that has a one-on-one guided experience feel. Inside, you'll learn how to position your business, package your services, and create your credit card swipeable offer that makes it easier for government buyers to say yes. Plus, you'll have the strategies and tools to be able to navigate the process with confidence. Now, spots are limited, so go ahead and apply at readyswipegov.com, and we can get started to that little step forward in government contracting.